Okay, so kind of looks the same, I guess, on the video as it did the last time I videoed it, but a lot of work's gone on since then. I put a third coat of the slick sand on and worked out more of the blocking, and some of the flaws showed up, so I did some more glaze, put more glazing putty into the flaws and worked them up and got them level and blocked them out again. So some of the areas ended up having some breakthroughs to bare metal. So I went back with the slick sand and just spotted in some of the areas. And it was blocked down with 220. After I got the spot primer in various areas and it dried, I went ahead and used a random orbital sander or a DA with some 240 paper to just go over the entire car lightly and knock back the roughness of that, and also to try and take out some of the cross hatching from the 220 blocking. You don't get too aggressive with the orbital sander over the large areas, just enough to take down the roughness, like I said, and try to take out some of the cross hatching. It makes it easier going for the next stage, which will be 400 paper. And after that, then there'll be a coat of or a couple coats of sealer and on to color. But before I can do that, I have another stage which involves me taking some of this apart. I have to take the trunk lid off. I have to take the bumper off. Front bumper also has to come off with the valance. The front fenders, the doors have to come off so that I can finish the work around the door jambs. And I can prepare in and around the surround of the trunk to be painted. And I have to do the body work on both the rear bumper and the front bumper. Basically, I like to do those off the car because you can get them in a better light and you can see some of the details. It's a little tough working on something this detailed and get it good working on the floor right here. So I'll do that off the car on some sawhorses. And the same with the front bumper. There's some detail areas there that it will be better to work on a flat surface with some good lighting. Then I'll have to put all of that stuff back together once there's paint, clear coated color underneath this trunk lid and on the bottom side of the trunk lid and on the back side of the door and also on the door jambs themselves. And once all that color is on, I can put those pieces back on the car. And then I'll be ready for going to final 400 sanding. And from there I will be able to put the sealer on and proceed with the color and the clear. So I'm still quite a ways off from putting any color down on the car, but at least the temperature's gone down a little bit. 10 degrees is a real relief. You see the air conditioning unit's not working today. It's pleasant in here at this point. We were dealing with 90 degree to 100 degree temperatures there for the entire month of August and July while I was working on sanding and blocking this thing. So those are some pretty rough days, but it's getting into September. It's lightening up now as far as the temperature is concerned, which is a good thing. And so I will show you the car again when I have it blown apart and show you what I'm up to there. Well, it definitely looks like we're going backwards. I just wanted to show you a little gizmo I came up with for taking the doors off to help me with them while I'm working alone here. It's a little difficult to handle. These things are a little bit big. But what I ended up doing was I have this floor jack, and I made this rig. It's pretty simple. There's a pad on the top of the jack that swivels, that normally is what you jack the car up with. It's a large enough casting that I was able to just drill and tap into the side of it Put a couple of 1/4-20s on either side of the pad so that I could bolt this. This is a 3/16 piece of steel with some 1/8" steel strips welded to the sides. And then I have these 2 uprights with 4 holes drilled in them. And what that allows me to do is I made these plywood profiles to fit the bottom side of the door. And then the top one pinches in just like this. And I just threw bolts through these uprights. And what that allows me to do is that allows me to jack the door up, or in this case just stabilize it at that height, because this pad stays level as it comes up and goes down. I don't have to worry about it rotating, but it's enough of a cradle that it's stable enough for me to be able to dismantle the door hinges. And I'll just show you here a minute. It's already away, and you can see, being on that swivel pad there, I'm able to swivel the door on the pad, so that now I'm going to kick it straighter and scoot it on out of the room here. But it supported it while I unbolted both of the hinges. Now, one of the keys to this is also to use plywood. Don't use like regular lumber for this little profile here, because lumber could split. So use some plywood because it's glued in back and forth the different layers, so it's not gonna come apart on you when you make this type of a profile. Anyway, I thought I'd show you that. So we're blowing it apart. I got to take the deck lid off also. The hood's going to stay put. Done messing with that. Yeah, just thought I'd show you that little device I came up with to help me not to have such a horrible time taking these doors off by myself. Anyway, just thought I'd show you that. I just thought I'd show you this deal outside the spray booth. It was a little cramped in there for space. I couldn't get back far enough. But you can see now, I was able to swing it around on that pad so that I was able to line it up straight and get it out through that narrow gap there in the room. So that worked out pretty good. Anyway, one other thing I wanted to show you was whenever I do take a door off and I have it where I want it, positioned where I want it, I want to relocate it back to where it was. I just go ahead and drill a small 1/8" hole and both of the tabs on both of the hinges, and then I loosen the bolts and take it off. That way, when it comes time to put the door back on, all I have to do is loosely bolt it up and then fish a couple of bits, 1/8" bits into those holes as an alignment pin, and that helps me put it right back where it was, so I don't have to spend a lot of time adjusting the door back and forth. Anyway, I wanted to just show you that. Okay, so on my last car project, the Daytona, I made just some simple cradles to put the door shells onto sawhorses, so that it was supported. The face was supported by a couple of profiles so that it wasn't wobbling all over the place. It was easier to work on. So I just basically cut 2 profiles that fit the door, the front and the rear, and I connected them with a couple of intermediate pieces of wood and set them down flat, and that way I could turn the door shells upside down and work on the back side of the doors. Well, this door shell is completely loaded with everything except the glass. And if that wasn't enough, it's way heavier. It's because it's way larger than those that other set of door shells that was on the Charger. So I've had to come up with another makeshift device, because I work by myself, to set it off someplace, safely and be able to work on it. So I had my other device that I used to take it off the car, and originally what I was going to do was get real clever and build an all-in-one device, but I decided to opt for 2 simple standalone devices. The jack device that gets it off the car. Now this cradle over here, what I'll do is I'll just set it in this profile, the door skin or shell with the skin facing this way, in this a little cradle here that matches the door profile. Now you see this is removable at the bottom, this piece here. That serves two purposes. One, it keeps it from the profile from pivoting, because that block is up against this upright over here. And what it also does is once this is upright and laying flat, I'll be able to screw this piece, take it off, and I'll be able to work the bottom edge of the door without these little grabber pieces in my way. So I'm just going to show you how this thing flips up, and it's just like a little rolling bench is what it is, and it allows me also to move the doors out of my way. I'm limited on space here, and so I can't just have a bunch of stuff, sitting in my way all the time, even though I do to some extent. Also, what happens here is because it's a quick jig made up out of wood, I can easily disassemble this and stack it flat someplace out of the way for future use. This way I don't have to have this entire device sitting in my way in the future. Anyway, I'll just show you real quick how this thing rolls up. So that creates a nice little bench for me to work on. It's right about the same height as the workbench over here. Anyway, just thought I'd show you that. I'm gadget crazy here because of having to work alone, but sometimes it's what you need to do. Okay, so that's how it looks once it's been transferred into the cradle and kicked flat. I'll be taking these two little retainers off here so that I'm able to work the entire bottom edge of the door. And as you can see, I've got one foot that's it's not locked, but probably could be smart to lock it. I've got a bolt going through this one here so that it's no longer able to tilt. It's also acting as a leg, so this is a nice support like a bench. And because this is on that rotating pad on the jack, I was able to take it from which was the traveling position, sweep it around to this way here, and then jack this up until it was the same level as this in a tilt position, and load it in. Take these two pieces off the top, which were retaining the top, that allowed it to rock forward. That's the other thing that I did was I put this, when it's in the vertical position, it's not totally vertical, it's kind of kicked back so that you're able to feed the bottom of the door in first and then just let it lay over backwards so the weight of the door wants to go into the cradle. And it's not retained at all at the top because, again, it starts off with all the weight leaning back in this direction here, so that when you rotate it up, it's really not going to go anywhere in that direction. And it's also a little bit slanted in this way, also to keep all the weight biased down towards where I have the support legs over here that kick out. Anyway, continuing to dismantle. Look like I'm going backwards big time over here. She's looking pretty scary. Well, I was able to use the hood jig that I used for removing the hood to adapt it to remove the deck lid too, which was a little bit scary when I was putting it on back and forth by hand. It was heavy before, and it was threatening to slide into the back glass, so I went ahead and made an adapter. These adapters are just plywood cut to the profile of the side of the deck, and they're squeezing the edge of the deck lid here. This block here just keeps them in plane so that when you clamp them they don't roll over, so they're secure. And I had to basically create a couple of wedges here, and this one here just bolted through the block, and it worked out okay. But so now deck lid's off. I got to get the back bumper off now and remove the door hinges and the deck lid hinges, and then I can get back to work on putting some primer and paint on the bottom sides of everything and cleaning everything up. Well, that's about everything I want to take off at this point. I'm able to get to everything I need to get to these jams, get all that stuff cleaned up, last of the yellow paint around there, and this little area over in here around the deck enclosure. Also, might seem like overkill to get just those two things, but I've got to do the underside of the deck lid. That's going to be a little bit of work. Got to do around the perimeter of the inside of the doors. More work. Got to finish up the mud work on the bumper itself. Like I said, I only did the transitions at this point, but all of this detail here has to be worked out yet. The fenders, they need a little bit more work along the inside edges of the hood line, and just a little sprucing up here and there on the inside and painted where I have bare metal. Of course, the grill work, it looks like it's finished, but it's not if you look closely. This is just all you can see the tacks every so often, so this all has to be sealed in with an epoxy, and the final body work done on the inside here. Not too much, just some places where there's some gaps in the welding. Nothing's been done to that as far as body work is concerned. That's the roll pan in the front, so I'll have to work on that too. So that's it for now. I'm going to hit the car in the paint booth first with everything, and I'm going to have to drag the car out of there, and I'm going to have to get all of this stuff in there and start that adventure. Anyway, that's the update for now. Thanks for watching.